Hi, Mike Kennedy with you. Uh, I have a sleep doctor appointment at Chest Medicine in South Portland, and I thought I bring the whole machine with me because the doctor will just put the changes in then. Now, normally a doctor writes an order up, the order goes to your service provider, and then they change the machine, and they do it all through a cell modem. And maybe some people's machines aren't set up that way, but the way my machine is also set up, my numbers go to the provider automatically, and to the doctor. So that works out good. But I thought I'd show you, since I've got it, I'd show you some basics of the equipment. Comes with a free iPad. No, I'm just joking. Oh, of course, you have the power cord. And here's the actual machine itself. So this over here is a water reservoir. You fill this up, not over the line, and you put this in. And what happens is it gently heats the water, so it will go through the heated hose to your face. And so what that does is prevent drying out, because you're adding that humidity to the air that you're breathing. Kind of has a function button here. This button does a lot of different things. It's possible to see how you did last night by keying in a certain way, and you can also manually change settings in your machine, which is a really bad idea, because doctors don't like that when you go back and you've got the machine set differently than they set it. So I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. The provider I have is called Lincare. I don't know if they're national or not. Here it's encouraging you to get the My Air app, which I've done videos on that get extremely a lot of views. But this is a nice program in that it allows you to see your progress every day, and it allows you to see your progress over a month and I think a year. But there's also a problem with that. You can have a bad night and kind of panic and want to change things when you might have, after that, 5 good nights. So, there's a certain sense that checking every day cannot be good, depending on who you are. Or you start worrying. I've done that before. Oh, the machine's leaking, blah, blah, blah. And like I say, you got to look at things from the long term. So this is a heated hose. There are hoses that are not heated, but this mates into the machine. It's got wire, it's got electricity input, and it actually warms the air in the tube so that the water won't condense out before it gets to you. And you're wearing this mask. Okay, so we fill our water up with we have our power cord in. We fill up the reservoir. We've got a start-stop button here, or with this machine, it's just set to auto. So what will happen is, if I put this mask on and start breathing, it immediately turns it on, kicks on, and does what it's supposed to do. But you can, there might be reasons why someone doesn't like that, so it would be programmed for them just to use the on and off button. So that's the basic machine. And I should say, well, let me say something else. The Air Curve 10 Auto. Air Curve 10, yeah, V Auto, sorry. And I cannot explain this because I don't understand, but supposedly this delivers the air more in accordance to what you're actually doing for breathing. I thought all the machines did that, and maybe they do, but somehow this machine, this model, does it better. And uh, my doctor had to fight with the provider people, the commercial company that sold these, so I could get this model. They sent me home with 2 other models, and I thought they were just being, I don't know, stupid and giving me the wrong thing. But evidently they didn't want me to have this one because it costs more. Big surprise. And then the mask. Okay, here's where it plugs in. The hose comes off if you want. But I have to use what's called a full fat face mask because I breathe through my mouth at night. So if I had something that just went in my nostrils, it would have very little effect because my mouth is going to be open part of the time. So you conquer that by wearing this, which I don't know. Some people say this is a lot harder to get used to, and some people think the nose one is harder to get used to. With that one, you just have these two little things, like pillows that rest on your nostrils, and you sleep with that. So I've been doing this ever since I've been being treated for sleep apnea, which has been quite a few years. But the thing I wanted to mention about this one that is interesting and different, this has foam on it. You can see here, maybe better, you've got this kind of soft plastic material, then you've got foam. Now, normally what happens is masks will have this material, but just thinner, and kind of curl it around a little, and that's what seats on your face. Well, I found personally that the foam is better. It's a little more comfortable, but it seems to fit your face better. And I can see, when I take it off in the morning, that the foam has kind of been deformed. In other words, it's taken the shape of my face. And the other thing, this is the AirTouch F20 large cushion. So F20, AirTouch F20 ResMed. I've noticed that this foam is a lot less susceptible to leaks depending on whether you've shaved or not. With some masks I've done, it was almost like you would have to shave again before you went to bed for it to seal well on your face. This one I've noticed with even, I've even had like a 1/4 inch, say, or maybe 1/8 inch beard, before I shaved, and this thing will still seal properly. Now, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it does. And you'll start to learn odd things, like, for some reason, and this isn't the equipment, but when I lay on my right side, I get a lot of leaks. When I lay on my left side, I get less leaks. So I try to avoid sleeping on my right side. So it takes some getting used to. Sometimes you're used to sleeping in a certain position, and you have to go to different positions because of this. Now, I've never learned how to sleep on my back. Well, I shouldn't say that. I had 2 surgeries. I had a hernia surgery and a foot surgery done back to back for 3 months, so I wouldn't be out of work twice, right? So I had those done, and then I had to sleep on my back. The foot surgery, I had to have my foot elevated, so they had this kind of foam cushion that I put under my foot, so my legs are up like this, or one leg is up like that. And then I was forced to sleep on my back. Well, that was difficult. I didn't get the greatest sleep. And you figure too, besides that, now you've got the wheezing. I call this the wheezing spider. The ones I had before this, especially, it was almost like an oppressive amount of pressure. That was the thing too I was going to say about the machine. The machine somehow, this one delivers less pressure and does as well as a machine that does a lot more pressure. So if you're having your pressure levels, if they're high, and you're finding that uncomfortable, you could suggest a switch to this, you know, I'm going to make sure I say it right, ResMed Air Curve 10B Auto, okay, with the humidifier. And I guess some people don't use a heated don't have a script, you know, whether you have this or not is all a prescription. This is a prescription item, although I guess the supplies might not be, but sometimes people don't get hoses that are heated, and sometimes they do. But I don't know. I don't know how they make that determination. I do know with hoses that aren't heated, sometimes you do get condensation, and then you've got, you know, this place in the line that is like this somewhere, and that water collects and it makes noise. You can hear like a gurgling sound, which it makes enough noise anyway. I have, in the beginning, I wore earplugs. The machine made so much noise, the early machine, and bugged me so bad that I used earplugs because I didn't want to hear it. And this one too, the earlier masks were pretty bad too on. They were vented, so the air, you know, you're breathing in, you're breathing out, so this is applying pressure, there's excess pressure, or the air that this is putting in has to escape somewhere. You don't want it going down inside you, which unfortunately with a full face mask it does, which means you can have a lot of gas because you're bumping yourself up like a balloon. But some of them blow directly out. So, you know, if you're sleeping with your wife or your husband and you both face each other, they're getting this, by then, this cold blast of air in their face, which your partner doesn't like that. This one seems to be better in that you can see the vents are down here so that it doesn't shoot out directly. Some of them seem like they were actually made so that you could target someone in the face and blow this air into their face. And so I like this design better. I mean, you can still get leaks with this, which I do, but they seem to be less serious, and this idea of the air blowing across the bed to hit someone in the face doesn't happen as much because you have this air is kind of going from a side port. But so there we go. Sleep apnea. I'll just re-go through what sleep apnea is. Obstructive sleep apnea means you have some obstruction, you know, in you that causes apneas. And what's an apnea? Here's how you sleep. You're supposed to be kind of sleeping like this, and up here is awake. Well, for some reason you're not getting enough oxygen because you're not breathing enough. The body wakes you up, you get almost awake, and then it goes back down. Well, this gets repeated over and over and over. Mine, excuse me, my number without the machine was 84. So 84 times an hour, that would happen. And, you know, not only does that make you tired, not getting a good night's sleep, but actually untreated sleep apnea can damage your heart. So it's kind of like, there's some people that say, this machine's too much trouble. I'd just rather be tired. Well, would you rather have a heart attack or something? You know, it's been proven that untreated people can develop serious heart problems. Evidently, I must have got mine, you know, got my sleep machine early enough so that I have no damage to my heart. But, okay, that obstructive sleep apnea, I explained that. There's something physical. And the old days, they used to go into your throat and operate. They'd take out your tonsils, take out adenoids, whatever, or fat that's in your throat and everything. That was the first step. And they stopped doing it. Why did they stop doing it? Because they found a really large number, like the majority, of people who had the surgery ended up on the machine anyway. Now, I've heard of other people tell me, oh yeah, they had this surgery, never had a problem again. And then there are people that are thin that couldn't possibly have, you know, a buildup of fat because they got like no fat on their body and they have sleep apnea. So There's another type of sleep apnea, and I'm fortunate that I have both. Wow, my mouth is dried out. I also have central sleep apnea. So the other one's OSA, obstructive sleep apnea. The other one is CNA, central, no, OSA, CSA, central sleep apnea. There we go. So in that, your brain just says, I don't need to breathe right now. And your body doesn't like that. And again, you can go through that cycle again. So some of these 84 things that I was doing, some of them they felt was obstructive sleep apnea, and some of the rest of them, a smaller percentage, but were central sleep apnea, where your brain just forgets to breathe. So this works. Now some people will get these machines, and in 30 days their lives will change. They drop a bunch of weight, they have all this energy. It's like, like they feel, 20 years younger or something. That didn't happen with me. I found that it took an extremely long period of time. I wouldn't go out in the evenings or anything to like different things I might have wanted to go to because I was just tired. Well, it seemed like it took 6 months or a year on it, and then my energy started building up. But I don't know if that's whatever. But for me, it took a long time of use to get the effect that you wanted as far as being tired. But you got to remember, you're also trying to protect your heart. So that's happening. If you knock those apneas down, that's happening whether you're tired or not. So people should stick with it. Now, when I got it, when they diagnosed me, which is kind of funny because my wife said, you snore at night, you have a problem. You should go see a sleep doctor. Yeah. I talked to my doctor. He's like, you got to be kidding. Then I had this little surgery I had to do. It was the acid reflux thing, right? I had to do, and the doctor talks to me in a few minutes. He says, I'm not operating on you. I said, what? Why not? He says, you have sleep apnea. I want you to wake up again. And he wrote a prescription for me to go to the sleep lab, and they find out I have pretty severe sleep apnea. And he could tell just by talking to me, by the things I said, him asking me certain questions, and he was right. I had it, and I had it to an extreme. So that was good that I had that. And then for the problem with the acid reflux, I developed Barrett's esophagus, which can go onto cancer. And so I was going to be operated on that. And I guess there were some complications with, you can have fat in different ways on your body. You can have a layer of fat, which is no big deal to cut through the layer. Then you can have fat that's actually around the organs, and that presents more of a problem if you're trying to operate. So he went in to do this thing and decided he couldn't do it. So, I come out, they give me certain medicines to take. I think I was taking Nexium first. Now I'm just taking a Omeprazole or something like that. But anyway, you do this thing where they put the camera down your throat, and they did it to me later, and they said, oh, you're fine. Barrett's esophagus is healed. You don't have to have this camera thing done anymore. The medicine does help some people to actually reverse this. Barrett's esophagus is where, because there's acid getting up in your esophagus, your brain is saying, this must be part of his stomach. Let's change the cells over to what his stomach is like. And actually, in doing that, it presents a much higher risk of getting cancer. And cancer of the esophagus is not a thing to have because you really need your esophagus. So, anyway, Evidently, taking the pills and everything, it went away. Now I have a brother. He has the Barrett's esophagus. He faithfully takes the medicine they give him, and hasn't improved at all. I guess it maybe hasn't gotten worse, but mine got better completely. So what else can I tell you, rambling along here about the sleep apnea, the machines, the treatment? Oh, and I don't know. It was like, A Perfect Storm, that movie where everything goes wrong. I was kind of in that during the pandemic. And before the pandemic, what happened is Philips made machines with a certain type of plastic, okay? And it was found that that plastic broke down, and there was a possibility that people were breathing in plastic particles. Well, once that got established, zip, half the people who use sleep machines had to stop, and they had to get other machines. So getting another machine was like impossible for a while, because they weren't going to give a machine to someone who had a machine. Their priority, which it should have been, is to go and get machines to people that could no longer use their machine. So I guess that's resolved now, and the rest machines didn't have that. Now, I will tell you, there's a product that is sold which automatically voids your warranty, right? It's a machine that produces ozone. So whether you put your masks in or whatever, or you pump ozone through the system, ozone is a very aggressive disinfectant, but it's also aggressive against certain things. So that can damage components of your machine. So I think one of them is called So Clean. But anyway, if you have one of those, don't use it and don't get one, because the ozone going into the machine can destroy some of the parts, and then the machine won't work perfectly. I don't know in that case if you would be breathing plastic or not, but I just know that having the machine in ozone for a certain length of time can damage the machine. So there we go. If you think you have sleep apnea, talk to your doctor. Normally, for a full-blown sleep test, you would go to this lab where they wired you up from head to toe with all of this stuff and breathing, things to check your breathing, electrodes on your brain. They do this extensive thing and have you do different things, lay on your right side, lay on your left side, blah, 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 and then be changing the pressure so they could diagnose you. And that was a big rigmarole. And then they had home tests where you would take this piece of equipment home, and I haven't done that, so I don't know exactly how it's wired up or anything, but more companies have gone to that because insurance companies are less and less willing to pay for this complete sleep study. So I don't know whether they'd use that as a screening first at home tests, and then if they determine that you had sleep apnea to some level, then maybe they would do the full test on you. Or maybe they can just do it with that. I'm not sure, since I haven't had it. But there we go. If you're tired all the time, if your mate thinks you make a lot of noise when you're sleeping, or gasping for breath, or something like that while you're asleep, this is happening without your knowledge, all this stuff. Talk with your doctor and see if you should be tested for sleep apnea. Bye.